But Ida gives me cause to give commentary. And the commentary I want to give is for those, as I was saying, who honestly believe there is such a thing as a self-made man or a self-made woman. There is no such animal. There is no such thing as self-made because we are all interdependent and independent. Meaning we do have to depend on other folks to get things done. There is no such thing as you did it all by yourself. You're a self-made billionaire. No, you would not be a billionaire if somebody was not buying your product or what have you. Okay. So there's no such thing as you've pulled yourself up by your own bootstraps. But then there are those who put so much faith and stock in houses and land and money. And going back to what I said a couple of minutes ago in terms of this self-made thing, there are so many who put so much stock in a house. They put so much stock in the type of car, the brand of clothes. They put so much stock in that and thinking that they're doing something. They think they're doing something because they're carrying the latest designer bag. Now, if I get into my whole thoughts in terms of designer stuff, we'll be sitting here all morning because I've never really believed in that. I never understood why somebody else would feel so great about themselves by making someone else rich by wearing their name on their behind. I remember back in the day with the Hilfiger and Jordache and all these other things, folks thought they were something because they had Jordache on that little, on their pocket, on their jeans. They think there's something because and that's sad. If you need that to make you feel like you're something, then yes, something is wrong. Because see, that's never been my thing. I don't understand this whole notion, as I said, of wearing somebody else's name on your behind to make you feel good. And you've paid 5-10 times worth the value of that particular product in order to have the experience of promoting their name. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm into advertising, and on any given day, you'll see me wearing anything on a cap or a T-shirt. And yes, it does wind up being free publicity for some or what have you. But I'm not doing that from the standpoint of making myself feel better. It's just a matter of, okay, I like the T-shirt or I like the company or whatever. But from the standpoint of, I have to wear that person's name on me. I have to wear Hilfiger on me. I have to wear whoever. And I'm just using that as examples. I have to wear that on me for me to feel good about myself. Something's wrong with that. Now, you can agree or disagree. It really does not matter to me. But something is wrong with the fact that you have to have somebody else's name on you just to say that you paid 10 times the amount that it was worth in order for you to feel good. So where I'm going with this is there are those, and don't get me wrong, I love a beautiful home. I love a beautiful house. I love a nice car. But to be honest with you, for me, a car is to get from point A to point B. So I really don't have a problem having a hoopty. I don't. Because for me, a lot of this stuff is functional. Even houses to me are functional. I need a roof over my head. All right. But there are some who get so caught up in the type car they drive, the clothing they wear, the house they live. And where I'm going with this to connect it with Ida is that God can take it away in mere seconds. Within a 60-second time frame or a minute time frame, it can be washed out, burned down, fallen down within that short of a time. Something that might have taken you 6 years can be gone in 6 seconds. Something that might have taken you 10 years to build can be gone in 10 minutes. Now, if you don't believe me, just check out your local news stations as Ida came through. As Ida came through, look at the destruction. Look at how quickly those houses fell down like toothpicks. As a matter of fact, and I'm talking about Ida down in Louisiana, but if you look at Ida even up here on the East Coast, look how quickly that hit. I didn't even realize that Philadelphia had experienced down in that Gloucester County area of New Jersey, in that Philadelphia area. I didn't even realize they experienced a tornado till I turned on the news the other day and saw the big, beautiful homes that were reduced to rubble. So this is why, as I sit behind this microphone and I record this particular episode, we really need to think about just how quickly everything that we treasure, everything that we put so much stock in, can be gone. You could have amassed millions in the stock market, and the next day the market crash, it's gone. And I'm not saying don't desire these things. I'm not saying, but you have to put things in perspective. We have to put things in perspective that you have folks driving themselves literally mentally silly over a house. You have folks driving themselves crazy over a car. You have folks driving themselves crazy over material things that, depending on what's going on any given day, can be taken away just like that. And that's another reason why we really can't take anything for granted. As Lee was saying in his song, and God bless his soul, he's gone on now, but you didn't have to do it, but you did. I thank you for waking me up this morning, clothed in my right mind, health and strength. Because see, those are the things, once they go, they're gone. If your health, if there's something that the doctors can't do much with, once that go, it's gone. Your mind, if it goes, ask folks dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's and personality disorders and bumps on the head and all kinds of things that would make the mind go. Once that mind go, once your health goes, and there are just some things that no matter how much the scientists and the doctors and the researchers, there are just some things God has not allowed them yet to figure out. Because the only one who knows how that inner working is, since he created us, is God. God is the owner. God is the designer. And there are some things he's designed in us that man hasn't figured out yet. We think because these computers can process, the computer doesn't process anywhere close to what our brains do. As fantastic and wonderful as technology is and computers are, and it is amazing in the operating systems, the things that we can't see, all the processes that go on in order for us just to be able to type on the keyboard and they come up on the screen. For us to now be able to use voice technology that we can even talk into our devices and it'll respond to us with Siri or Alexa or any of those other artificial intelligences. As much as we have that, it's still nowhere close to the human brain. And yet there are some things within our human brains that man hasn't figured out, that only God can figure out, that only God knows. He don't have to figure it out. He knows because he designed it. And so think about that years that we've been donating to all these different research causes, and yet in some respects, no cures has been developed. So I'm saying all of this to say, for those of you who are listening and who will listen, there's only so much credence we can put into material items because they can be washed away so quickly. Treating people wrong, cheating people, just, all kinds of things in the name of a house, in the name of a car, in the name of a title, in the name of clothing, in the name of more money. And that same thing that you're putting that much energy and effort and stock into can be taken from you in seconds. I had to turn off the news the other day because I had been watching it for the last few days, and I just got to the point where I just got tired of seeing it. I just got to turn this off, because at that point I was watching the disaster going on with the river down in Philadelphia and all the destruction that had happened there from a tornado and the flooding and everything that came through that way. And I just had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it anymore. Just to see. And then I'm going along as I'm on the different social media sites. I see where a family of 4 drowned in a basement apartment over in New York. They were in a basement apartment, people that were in the apartment, and I couldn't figure that out, but they were saying the water rushed in so fast and so hard, they didn't have an opportunity to get out. They became trapped in a basement apartment and lost their lives from the water. that had gotten into their home. Now, you would think, okay, it's raining. You see the water coming, run out. They couldn't. People lost not only their property, but they lost their lives in this storm. Again, just how quickly our lives can be taken. So my point in all of this, the upshot of this is we need to really keep our perspectives in focus. I am not saying do not aspire to have nice things. I'm not saying that. So please don't confuse that. But keep the nice things, even if you acquire them, keep them in perspective. Because if you don't think they can't be gone, keep on messing around, especially the way things are going. Especially the way things are going. I mean, I've been having some fun over the last couple of days. Just, things keep on happening. And what they're doing is they're bringing up movie lines for me, from some of my favorite movies, or either stuff I've read over time. They're coming back to me as these things are occurring. And one of them is, from the book Fatherhood from years ago. That was prior to the Bill Cosby scandal. But in any event, the words, they still, if you substitute in the story everything that's going on, whether it's COVID, whether it's the storms, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's whatever. So anyway, what he says is, I recently met a man and woman who had been married for 50 years. And they told me a story with enough horror for Brian De Palma. Their 46-year-old son had just moved back in with them, bringing his 2 kids, one who was 23 and one who was 22. All 3 of them were out of work. And that, I told my wife, is why there is death. See, there is so much going on. And the part that cracks me up, this again, I find I have a morbid sense of humor. So I found that last line humorous to me. And that, I told my wife, is why there is death. With everything that we have going on, for me, that is why there is death. There has got to be some relief from all the craziness on this side. It's got to be somewhere there's best. So where he now says that that's why there's death in terms of the kids moving back home, you can insert COVID, you can insert, the wars, you can insert whatever you want to in that particular instance. Then I saw this post the other day. I'm trying to think of Anna Navarro. I think that's her name. I think that's Anna Navarro. I think that's her name. She got married, so she has a second name behind the hyphen now. But I think it's Anna Navarro. But she had posted on one of the social media sites about how, and she gave the list: Afghanistan, COVID, torrential and biblical rains, and just went on down the list. And she said, well, you know what? Maybe the frogs and the locusts actually, like maybe they got off light with it. Now, she was being funny with, a whole play on the 10 plagues. But that is exactly what it seems like we're going through at this point. It's just one thing after, and not even just after. It's one thing on top of another. Before you can get out of one thing, we're into something else. Something else is being piled on. And this is going on, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's in your community, whether it's in the state, whether it's in the country, whether it's in the world. This is what's going on. So, wrapping this up, there's only so much stock we can put in things that are not going to be here, things that can vanish very quickly. And when I say very quickly, I mean very quickly. If you look, as I said, if you look at all the coverage of Ida, and interestingly enough, Ida hit on the exact same day that Katrina hit on in 2005. In 2005, on the exact day that Katrina hit, was the exact day in 2021, or date, shall I say, that Ida hit. And the destruction was somewhat similar. They were kind of different storms. They moved in different ways, but they destroyed whatever was coming up in their path. And the destruction, my point with the whole thing is the destruction does not take anywhere near as long as the construction. Destruction can move extremely fast in comparison to construction. What may take months and years to build can be wiped out in seconds. So please, be grateful and thankful for what you have. Use it for what it's worth. Don't take it for granted. But just know there's something bigger than you and I. Just know there's somebody bigger than you and I. Just know there's something out there. I call it God. People have different names. For me, it's God. There's something bigger than me. There's something bigger than you. There's something more than our houses. There's something more than our cars. There's something more than the designer name we wear on our backs. There's something more out there. This has been another episode of The MARC Medley Show. Feel free to visit my website. I encourage all of you all the time to visit my website, marcamedley.com. MARCAMEDLEY.com. And that is the portal. That is the hub. So everything, for the most part, that I do communications-wise, whether it's the podcasts, whether it's the blog, whether it's the radio show, the Reading Circle with Marc Medley, whether it's the YouTube channel, whether it's my musical CDs, whatever, just about all of my projects and endeavors and creative work, if you go to marcamedley.com, you have the portal. You can get to everything else that I'm on. My social media sites, YouTube channels, you name it, it's there. Just go to the website, marcamedley.com, MARCAMEDLEY, no spaces. All the letters are together, MARCAMEDLEY.com. As always, thanks for listening. Until we release the next episode, be blessed.